And it is 5 o'clock, so I want to call the meeting to order. We ask all board members that you acknowledge our meeting norms.
Thank you.
Due to the concerns for public health and safety, the Ferguson-Florissant School District Board of Education will use Zoom, a video conferencing tool, in lieu of a face-to-face meeting. Under provisions of the Public Meeting Law of the State of Missouri, the board must adopt a roll call vote, an agenda that includes the time, date, place, and tentative agenda for the meeting. The copy of the notice and agenda for this meeting was posted on Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021 at the Administration Center located at 8855 Dunn Road, Hazelwood, Missouri, and on the district website. Due to numerous employee comments and requests regarding childcare, and because teachers and staff were expected back in the buildings before the next board meeting, it was important to add employee childcare needs as an agenda item for information and discussion on this evening's agenda. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda as posted?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Tyson? Mrs. Hogshead?
Aye.
Dr. Martin?
Aye.
Ms. Bush?
Aye.
Dr. Graves?
Aye.
Dr. Paul Walker?
Aye.
Dr. Thurman?
Aye. First on the agenda is our consent. The administration presents the following items for approval under the consent agenda. May I have a motion to accept the consent agenda as posted?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Mrs. Hogshead?
Aye.
Dr. Martin?
Aye.
Ms. Bush?
Aye.
Dr. Graves?
Can you hear me? Aye.
Dr. Paul Walker?
Aye.
Mr. Tyson?
For some reason, we're not hearing.
He's muted.
He just muted.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Can't hear Mr. Tyson.
We cannot hear you, Pastor
Can you hear me
Tyson.
now?
Yes.
Awesome.
Now you need to vote.
Aye.
Thank you. Dr. Thurman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to start with our employee child care needs. Dr. Parker.
Good evening, Board of Education, Dr. Davis. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. After the decision was made to return to in-person learning, we surveyed our employees and found there was an immediate need to potentially provide childcare. Over the next few slides, we will share the data collected and how many of our employees' children are impacted. Of the employees who responded, we have a total of 109 school-age children that would be in attendance with their parent until students return. For reference, school age refers to kindergarten on up. For preschool, which is inclusive of 6 weeks to age 5, as you can see on the screen, we have slots for 48 of children. Of the 48, we had 61 needs. And so 61, some of these slots that are available may already be slotted for some of our employees. So that would be something that we would have to go back and cross-check. Here you can see we would need 4 additional staff with a potential cost of $13,260. I will say that's already been budgeted because we have not used the number of subs thus far. And we have Laura and Philip here tonight too that could answer any questions. So Dr. Thurman, at this point, I will turn it over to be able to answer any questions. So we have Shantiana, we have Laura and Philip as well to answer any questions that you guys might have.
Okay, I think we do need a little more information about what the plan is. Dr. Davis, can you speak a little bit more to the overall plan
Yes, ma'am.
and why it's not going to cost the district any money?
Yes, ma'am. So initially, when we started out, we had, like Dr. Parker said, well over 100 and some odd employees who needed childcare. We also knew that, we knew that if we did nothing, we would have could potentially have a lot of employees using sub days, or rather using sick days, in order to take care of their children. This time frame is from Monday or next week when teachers come back, all the way up until students come back. High schools come back on the 24th, and then up to the 12th, which 5th through the 9th of April is our spring break. So really up to the 2nd of April would be the other schools. So if you have an employee who's a high school teacher and has a 7-year-old, for example, then, if she has students from 6 to 12, those teachers would be able to bring their children with them to their classes and be able to teach while the students are with them in class, right? But to the particular group of students that Dr. Parker spoke to, the ones that were under that, then we would have to have specific care for them, either at Mark Twain or at Lee Hamilton. So what she posed there is, in fact, I'm gonna share my screen real quick because I do have, I like to talk from some of these data. Let's see here. So what you see here is the 612 piece, and this is one that we had revised. This is an older version, but so we wouldn't have to, this would be zero because these employees would be able to bring their children with them to their class. So that $26,000 isn't even an issue anymore because this group would be able to bring their children with them, those employees. This group here, 0 to 5, they're actually a little bit more than that now. I think it's up to 60. We have about 48 slots, as Dr. Parker spoke to. This $13,260. So Philip and we had a conversation the other day about ESS, our sub contractor. So you've already approved that budget. We could hire 4 people using those funds, so it wouldn't cost the district any more money, right? It would cost if we would have to hire specific people with the skill sets to be able to do that work for a short period of time, of course, but that money has already been budgeted. So it's no additional dollars that we would be asking the board to approve, right? It's just how we would plan to use these to be able to help our employees as they return back to work, teachers rather, to the schools next week. And so essentially what we're asking, rather giving the board is this information, because there's no money that needs to be approved. It's just, we're trying to support our employees because we know we have significant concerns with childcare. And while, it is the employee's responsibility, like myself and my wife, when our son needed to have childcare, we felt like it was important to do all we can to support our employees as we come back. So there are no costs tonight other than the monies that you've already approved with ESS. We would hire people through them, and they would specifically work with that 0 to 5 age group so that we could support our teachers.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, more sense. Now that I'm sure that more of the board members would like to ask questions about this. And even at the 13,260, even though we've already approved that part of the budget, this would not require a vote from the board. Is that correct?
That's correct, because
Okay.
we're not spending any additional money. That you've already approved these. We would hire those people through the budget you've already approved. It's just like the substitute teachers. That's what our budget was for, our substitute teachers. And since we've been out, we've not even used a bunch of that budget
Got it.
that before. And quite frankly, it's good that we have that amount already in this current budget, so it wouldn't be an additional cost.
Okay. And the
And
whole
one-
idea is that we want to try and support our teachers as much as possible
Absolutely.
for those who have childcare needs. Okay, I'll open the floor up to questions from the board.
Can I make a motion, please?
We're not voting on this.
But don't we have to vote on doing it, not maybe spending the money, but on doing the program?
From my understanding is we don't have to do it since it's not going to cost the district. But Lisa, maybe you can chime in and let us know if this is something we need to do, make a motion on or vote on.
Thank you, Dr. Thurman. I'm not familiar with the details of it, but I believe that as long as the money's been budgeted and this is a program, offering the program is within the discretion of the administration. And so I think Dr. Davis is just informing you all as to what the plan is and seeking your input, of course, but I don't think a formal vote is required.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Leslie.
Mhm.
I do have a question though.
Sure.
You're saying these funds we're using are coming from funds that are already approved. Do we foresee having to replace those funds at another date or another time? Because if they were approved for something.
Mhm.
And even though we're not doing that now,
Right.
do you foresee a chance of us having to circle back
Mhm.
to replenish those funds later?
Yeah, that's a great question, Pastor Tyson. So the funds were appropriated for substitute teachers, and it was appropriated at the beginning of the school year. And Laura, if you could just get the number of what the full budget was for it, it was probably close to $1 million, I would guess.
It was.
And we haven't spent close to that.
Yeah.
So that money was specifically for substitute teachers. Now we contract with ESS, which is a vendor that brings our subs in for us. They hire people. So when you come to be a substitute teacher in our district or guest teacher, you go through ESS. It's a different company. They do the vetting process, and we hire through them. We're well in the budget because we've been virtual.
Gotcha.
And so we would bring in these additional people for the 0 to 5-year-olds through them. So that money has already been appropriated. So even if we were to hire 100 people, I'm just being exaggerative here, we still would be under budget, right, for this year. And that goes all the way through the end of the year. But for the purposes of this program in particular, it only goes till our students come back, right? So our high schoolers come back March 24th, and then the rest of our students come back on April 12th. Although we'll have some transition days for the pre-K through 8 coming up. So, just with this, we wouldn't spend, more than, $13,260 or around that number.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Davis,
Yes.
I had a couple of questions. So for the students that are in that 6 to 12 age group that would be coming in with their parents, I wonder, is there going to be any guidance or protocol that will be put in place with regard to the need to follow the same safety procedures regarding wearing a mask and sanitizing? I wonder about the supervision, just kind of understanding that, like, for those of us who have little people in our lives that we love, if they need stuff, it's hard to not respond to that. So I just kind of wondered about that. I also wonder about any potential liability on the part of the district in the event that a child would be hurt, during the day. So that's that one. And then I have another question about the 0 to 5 group.
Okay. So I think those are great questions, Dr. Power Walker. In fact, we've talked about those at length. And Larry, if you have that policy that we've from a district perspective have dealt with this particular issue in the past with employees bringing their children to work. The issue is more about supervision, right? And making sure that students are supervised during that time. So we would provide guidance to our employees of what that looks like, because the teachers would be responsible for the children with them. So it's like them teaching at home now using Zoom. Certainly you're at home and kids are in their space, so they're familiar, and it's the parents' full responsibility. But for those parents who would need to bring their children with them because they couldn't find other daycare, this is an alternative to those folks who are struggling trying to find daycare. So we hope that they would be able to, but this is an alternative to it. But we would provide guidance around the social distancing and all those pieces. But we would expect all the children that come with their parents, if that come to work, that they would be in their rooms with them, not in the gym playing, not in the hallways doing X, Y, and Z. We'll provide written guidance to them in that regard. And then they would be able to come during the time that our students aren't there. The only people that would be in those classes would be the teacher themselves and their child. And there could be a situation where you have a mom or dad who has more than one child, but it would be absolutely their responsibility. However, the liability question you raised, I would probably defer to Lisa and Laura on that piece, because and Larry, because certainly when people are on our campuses, then I'm sure we have some level of responsibility there. So Laura, Lisa, you all want to speak to that?
We can certainly, I don't know the answer to that, and I apologize. We can certainly check with with Music, our insurance company, though, and find out if the parents would need to sign a waiver of some sort for those children.
Okay. And then for the 0 to 5 age group, I wanted to find out the 4 people that would be attending to those children. Are these people that are currently employed by the district, or are these going to be new hires? And so, because if they're going to be new hires, then I just, have questions about their oversight, their training. So just curious about who's going to be looking after the children.
Yeah, I'll defer to Dr. Parker and Shantana and Philip on that. We've had that discussion, but I feel like they're more able to answer it than I am.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and bring Santana in for that conversation.
Can I also ask that we go back to Lisa, so that Lisa can answer that legal question that Dr. Powell Walker had?
The liability.
About, yeah, she didn't get a chance to chime in.
That's okay. And I was gonna agree with Laura. I think it's a good idea to check with Music and find out what music requests the district have. I do think that the district needs to have, as Dr. Davis said, written guidelines for the employees that are bringing their children, and then something that they're going to sign off on. So in the event, something that the children are not following those guidelines, or the employees aren't following those guidelines, the district would have some repercussions. But we can follow up with, I'll work with Laura and Dr. Davis to make sure that's in place.
Thank you.
I think somebody was going to respond to.
I think Shantana.
Yes. Yes. Good evening. So the 4 additional staff that would be in place for birth through, or 0 through 5, they would assist the teachers that we already have. So we already have classroom teachers in those positions. The 4 additional staff would be supporting those teachers. And those staff members are the additional staff. I would work with Philip, with ESS, and we would look for specific candidates for that. So they would need 60 college credit hours plus 3 hours in child development, which we typically do for our preschool classrooms anyway. So we do have ESS staff on hand for that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I had a quick question in regards to that 0 to 5 age range. Do we currently serve infants?
We do. So this came last year, and Laura, I don't know if you want to speak to this as well, but we started a program for our infants last year. So this is only at Mark Twain, where we have the capacity for our infants. But yes, we do.
And then my other question is the students, or the the staff's children as well as those in the 0 to 5, are those our current kids, or are we just taking kids that are just theirs? So do they even belong to us?
That's
Great.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Jenna.
Well, I was going to say, great question. That was something else we asked. And many of these, the school age, are for some of our teachers who live outside of the Ferg Floor district, but they have already declared virtual for their student. And so much like we have done, they can't change it. And so they're virtual for the remainder of the year. And so therefore they need a space for the duration of the year.
Donna, I just had a.
Well,
Courtney, go ahead.
go on.
Whoa.
Yeah, wait. Yeah.
I'll
Go ahead.
clarify, Dr. Graves, I'll clarify. We won't provide that for the duration of the year. We'll provide it until students return, and then they will have to, this is just in the interim for school age.
Thank you. I was just about to say, clear that up. Yes, Dr. Martin.
Pop on that one. Like, wait a minute, hold on.
Yeah, quick question just about the 6 to, what was the other age range again? 12. I just want to make sure we're not calling that childcare. We just get into some legal issues with childcare, and Lisa might, with regulations of rooms, and if they're just going to be in the, my question is, are they just going to be in the room with their parents, or are they going to a different location to be watched? And if so, have we contacted and done all the legal requirements for a childcare facility if we're calling it childcare, or are they with their parents? Because there are some legal issues about regulations with spacing and services and meals and all of those things. So just want to see, is it a, are they going somewhere? They're not with their parents, right? From 6 to 12?
No, they will be with their parents. They won't be anywhere else. And you're absolutely right, because so in my capacity, I have to go through background checks for any kind of childcare space in our entire district. And there are specific regulations, especially for the younger ones.
Right.
But they will be with their parents, and their parents would be responsible. And to the question that was raised earlier by Dr. Powell Walker, we absolutely will get with music, because we want to make sure we have a waiver in place in case there are some issues that come up. And again, this is, so our employees know it's their responsibility, not ours, to provide this. We're just trying to think of ways and remedies to support them as they're trying to, because it's only until our students come back. Once our students come back, then they cannot be there. So it really is just the parent, who is our employee, and their child until our students show back up, just to give them some kind of buffer and support until they can find whatever permanent structure they need.
Got it. So with that, just a quick question. Obviously, PK through 8 is going to be transitioning prior to the 12th. And so on those days, would those families not be able to bring their child to work? I just want to make sure we're very clear in terms of making sure our employees don't think we have a space for them to be every day, because obviously if kids are in the building, we can't have outside kids in the building as well. So just wanted to kind of make sure we're on the same. I see yeses, so I don't need any more explanation than just I see a yes. So what is the additional staff for the 6 through 12-year-olds?
There is none.
Okay, I thought I saw a dollar amount somewhere on one of the slides.
That was a earlier version that we were working through, and I just used that to make the points earlier, but it's 0.
Got it. Thank you. That's where some of my confusion came. Appreciate it.
Yeah, with that one, Dr. Martin, we would have had to vote, because that would have cost us close to $26,000 if we did the 6 through 12-year-olds. So we're totally taking that out, or this plan totally takes that out. And the only one thing that would cost would be the 0 through 5. And we've already voted on that because it's our substitute budget. Any other questions, comments, concerns? No? So I am instructing Dr. Davis to go through with this plan. At once we find out from music, we have to put that stipulation in there. are we okay with that? Lisa? Cool?
Yeah, I don't think you have to make that. You've made that part of the minutes, and I will certainly follow up with Dr. Davis and Laura probably after this meeting to make sure that that's in place before Monday.
Okay. Anything else? If not, I'd like for us to adjourn to our closed session. May I have a motion?
So moved to
Second.
adjourn to close.
Dr. Martin,
Aye.
Ms. Bush,
Aye.
Dr. Graves,
Aye.
Dr. Powell Walker,
Aye.
Mr. Tyson,
Aye.
Mrs. Hogshead,
Aye.
Dr. Thurman.
Aye. I want to thank